Good afternoon. Welcome back to another vlog on inclusivity in the education system. Today, we'll be vlogging after properly analyzing the Salamanca Statement. Now, this statement was established in Spain in 1994. It made the fundamental principle of inclusivity at school, which says all children should learn together whenever possible, regardless of any. Now, today we'll be giving you three pros and three cons, two benefits. Now, to begin with, the first pro, recognition of the right to inclusive education. One of the key pros of the Salamanca Statement is its firm recognition of the right to inclusive education for all learners, including those with special needs. This emphasizes on the fundamental rights to education for all children, regardless of their abilities, has significantly influenced global attitude towards inclusive education and has paved the way for legislative changes in various countries, including Guyana. Point number two, emphasis on collaboration and partnership. Another significant advantage of the Salamanca Statement is its emphasis on the importance of collaboration and partnerships among all stakeholders in the education process. The statement acknowledges the need for cooperation between government, civil society organizations, and communities to ensure the successful of inclusive education practices. This collaborative approach fosters a sense of shared responsibility and collective actions, which is essential for creating an inclusive and supporting learning environment for all students. Now, point number three, development of inclusive practices. The Salamanca Statement has been instrumental in promoting the development and implementation of inclusive practices in education systems worldwide. Educators and policymakers are encouraged to adopt inclusive approaches that cater to diverse needs of students, including those with special education needs. Now, over to our cons. Our first con is the lack of specific implementation guidelines. One of the drawbacks of the Salamanca Statement is its lack of specific guidelines or strategies for the implementation of inclusive education practices. While the statement sets a broad vision for inclusive education, it does not provide a detailed methodology or frameworks for educators and policymakers to follow. This can lead to the variability in the interpretation and execution of inclusive practices, potentially hindering the effectiveness of inclusive education initiatives. Point number two, limited accountability mechanism. Now, another concern regarding the Salamanca Statement is the limited accountability mechanism for monitoring the implementation of inclusive education policies. Without clear mechanism for accountability, there is a risk that the stated goals of inclusive education may not be effectively translated into action at the ground level. The lack of accountability can result in insufficient support for the pupils in the classroom with special needs and a failure to address barriers of their full inclusion in the education system. Point number three, limited focus on teacher training. We see this widely in Guyana. The Salamanca Statement falls short in its focus on the training and professional development of teachers to effectively implement inclusive practices in the classroom. While the statement highlights the importance of teacher training, it does not provide specific guidelines or framework for ensuring that educators are adequately equipped to support the diverse learning needs of all students. This oversight can lead to challenges in the education system, which may not effectively meet the needs of students with special education requirements and may hinder the successful implementation of inclusive education in Guyana and other countries. Now, a bit to share the benefits of the Salamanca Statement for inclusion in Guyanese education. Enhance awareness and advocacy is that the Salamanca Statement has played a crucial role in raising awareness and advocating the inclusive education in Guyana. By highlighting the fundamental rights to education for all learners, including those with special needs, the statement has contributed to a shift in attitude and policies, creating an inclusive educational environment. We as teachers in the classroom can attest to this. This increased awareness has promoted discussion and initiatives aimed at ensuring equal access to education for students with diverse learning needs in Guyana. Thus, we see a lot of special education centers are being established in Guyana in different regions. Another benefit will be the collaborative efforts and community engagement. The emphasis on collaboration and partnership in the Salamanca Statement has spurred collaborative efforts and community engagement in the Guyana's education system. Various stakeholders, including government agencies, non-governmental organizations, and local communities, have come together to support inclusive education initiatives. This collective engagement has led to the development of inclusive practices and the establishment of support network for students with special needs in Guyana. Another benefit, the legislative and policy changes. The Salamanca Statement has served as a catalyst for legislative and policy changes in Guyana to promote inclusive education. The recognition of the right to inclusive education has influenced the formulation of policies that prioritize the inclusion of these pupils with special needs in mainstream schools. As a result, Guyana has seen efforts to revise and develop education legislatives and frameworks to accommodate the diverse learning needs of all students and ensure their equitable access to the quality of education that is needed. Despite the significant strides made in advocating for inclusive education in Guyana, there are still challenges that need to be addressed. While the Salamanca Statement has provided a foundation for inclusive education, specific guidelines for the implementation and accountability mechanism and teacher training needs to be further developed and prioritized to ensure its effective implementation in the Guyana's education system. In conclusion, the Salamanca Statement has been influential in shaping education globally and has had a meaningful impact on the inclusive education discourse in Guyana. By critically analyzing the pros and the cons of the statement and recognizing its benefits for the Guyanese education system, we can work towards addressing the existing challenges and further advancing inclusive education practices in our country. Now, I hope that our viewers can learn something, and for the teachers watching, you can take this and apply it to your classroom. I hope you learned something today. Thank you.